Trail Seeker Adventure is once again in the beautiful state of South Carolina, where we check out round 3 of the US Sprint Enduro. This was one beautiful piece of property, but we were here to race dirt bikes, and that's what we did. I'll take you on a lap around the cross test and then also the enduro test. Come along with us as we show you what round 3 of the US Sprint Enduro had to offer. Check it out. We are at the MOREE'S Sportsman Perserve, and what a beautiful piece of property to come and shoot your guns at clay pigeons, but we're here to race dirt bikes, and what a beautiful place to come and rip up some dirt. The US Sprint Enduro had a beautiful track laid out, and the pros were first to check it out. Lane Michael, Stu Baylor, Liam Draper in the pro class was going to have their hands full with a Pro 2, Johnny Gerard. He was on the charge all weekend. Jesse Ansley was back from his broken hand and looking good. The US Sprint Enduro crew laid out an awesome cross test, and I couldn't wait to get out and rip up some dirt. As I'm lining up for the 40A class, this is going to be the cross test. My first time out on the track for the day. And on the first test of the day, they line us up random. So it's no particular order. As you go out and put in your best time, once they come back for the second test, which will be the enduro test, they'll line you up according to your lap times. I'm going out third. Every 15 seconds, a rider will be able to hit the track. I'll be racing the 2020 Beta 430 RR race. I'm still getting to know this bike, trying to get it adjusted. As we come out, we had an option. We could go across the bridge or around the pond. All the pros went around the pond. So I think that's why everybody else pretty much went around the pond. I was going to go across the bridge at one point throughout the day, but I just stuck with what I knew and went around the pond every time. This is a AMA event, therefore we are not allowed to have a helmet cam, so I had to mount the old chest mount on my chest protector. Seems like I get a lot more air noise through the chest mount, but I picked out the best video. I recorded every test, but this is the first test of the weekend on the cross test. And the next test that I will be showing will be the last test on the enduro on Saturday. And then I also have both a cross test and a enduro test from Sunday. That way you can see how much the course changed throughout the weekend. I normally struggle on the cross test. I am not a moto guy, and therefore my turn skills are lacking. But this course was set up so good, it didn't matter how slow I was going, I was having a blast. I don't do well in deep ruts or sand. The course did have some sand, but it wasn't real deep sand that I struggled with on round 1. One thing you definitely had to look out for the most part, I felt the track had a lot of traction, but then you'll come across a road or a section where some gravel was laying down on top of the grass, and then there was a construction area right down here where it looks like they were building a new section that was definitely slick, and you had to be careful. One of the things I struggle with is knowing how fast to come into a turn, especially when you're first time out on the track. You don't want to run in too deep and screw up your corner speed, but you don't want to come in too slow. Every second in this game counts. So as you heard, I have the 2020 Beta 430. This is a new bike for me, and as all new relationships, you have trust issues sometimes. You love her, but you just don't know how much you're going to trust her until you get to spend some time with her, and that's the way I am with this bike. I absolutely love this bike, but there's moments where it surprises me, whether it's in a turn or going across a road. You don't know how bad it's going to kick you around or throw you on the ground, so each time I get out and ride, I gain more and more trust in the bike. The US Sprint Enduro usually lays out a warm-up area, and I took full advantage of it this weekend. Every time I would come in between a test, I would grab a screwdriver and I would go out and tweak on it. Sorry about the helmet showing up in the video. I think I adjust it later on here. It's always a good feeling when you're catching somebody in front of you, but the thing you got to remember is you can't let that bother you, because you may feel like you're fast and you're catching somebody in front of you, but there's somebody behind you that could be doing the same to you. So I typically would rather race my class, but on this format you race the clock. So no matter how fast you think you are, sometimes you come back in and you look at the time and you're like, man, I was smoking that time. But as I was getting a little roosted there, but then you come in and you look at your times and it was your slowest lap of the day. So you can't really tell by how you feel, but you just have to do your best and try to make as few mistakes as you can throughout the weekend. I'll be popping a tear off for you here just as soon as I can get my hands free. I'm definitely learning that your speed mostly is in your turns, but also from turn to turn. So when you come out of a turn, you want to be hard on the throttle, stay on the throttle as long as you can, and then right onto the brakes. There should be no in between. But sometimes that's hard to do, because if you come in too hot, you could go down, blow the turn, or even go down. And in this format, whenever you go down in a turn, that could be 10 or 15 seconds, and that could be a difference between first and third. It's just really tricky to try to figure out the right amount of speed to come into a turn. Alright, that was my first go around the cross test. It's time to come in and tell Heidi what I thought about the test and any information that I could give her to help her go out and do the best she can. She's on her new 2021 Beta X-Trainer 300 and she's loving it.
Oh, so that one guy didn't catch it?
No, he passed, or I passed him. I don't know who was behind me other than the guy I passed. Oh, it's a blast.
Yes, Kitty, that's right. I'm on my new X-Trainer, and so far I'm loving it. This is my second race on this bike, and so far it's been a blast. This bike is easy to throw around, pick good lines, watch out for roots. I can make decisions quickly with it, and I can see why people like it for an enduro bike. As I'm hitting the cross test, I want to work on my speeds around the curves and in the ruts. But my main focus is working on my enduro. It kind of seems like when the track gets rougher, my times get faster. So I just need to practice on the cross test and do the same there too.
Finding the right bike for you is very important, and I have seen Heidi have more fun in the last couple races than I have for the last year. And that's all due to her feeling comfortable with the bike she's on. As I'm hitting the last test of the day on Saturday, this is the enduro test. The reason why I'm showing you the last test on Saturday, all the rest of the video was crap. I would go out and hit a bump and cause the video camera to point to my chin, and nobody wants to see this old gray hair on this old man's chin. So this was the best video of the day, and it's not bad. You was able to see some of my lines that I learned throughout the day. They had to change a couple of spots out here in the woods. The course was laid out, and then people came out and cut some new lines, and the US Sprint Enduro felt it was a little too fast, so they had to shut some of those quicker lines down. We had to run a little bit of the field section in order to get to the woods. So we crossed the little bridge and into the woods we go. Just check out how awesome this track looked. If you've never been to a US Sprint Enduro, this is an awesome race format, especially if you've never raced before. As you can see, there's nobody around me. I don't have to worry about people running over me or I accidentally getting tangled up with somebody else. Occasionally you may catch somebody, but just check out all the lines that the US Sprint Enduro creates. That way you have many different lines to pick from, and that makes it very interesting. Throughout the weekend you may have to change your lines. What may have not been the most fast line becomes a fast line because the main line becomes rough. Here I go right, then I cross rut, and that is what you do throughout the weekend to try to find the smoothest, fastest line. That way every second that you gain will show up at the end of the weekend. that was one of the areas they had to slow down a little bit. As you can see, there were definitely things you needed to look out for. The track was very fast and flowy, but there were roots and tight sections that you had to be aware of. Throughout the lap, I had my lines picked out, and for the most part, I hit every line that I wanted by the end of the day. But on the second day, coming up Sunday, they came in and made some changes just to try to slow down the track a little bit. And I'm totally okay with that. As I'm coming through here, there's a couple trees here pretty close. I scared myself there a little bit. As I was coming in, I was like, ooh, that could have been bad. But the property is pretty open, as you can see. So as we come out and find our new lines, the course marshals were able to see that the track was getting a little too fast and maybe a little dangerous. So they came in and put a little chicanes here and there in some of the faster sections. On day 2, they allowed us to go back out and check the course. You're allowed to e-bike the course or walk the course. And that's one of the good things about the format. Each track is only about 3.5 miles, whether it's the cross test or the enduro. So you're able to get out there and check the course out each time before you go out on each day. And that's good because, as you heard me say, every second counts. Watching my own video helps a lot. I see little spots that I can pick up time, and mostly it's being hard on the throttle from turn to turn. I mean, you can only go around a turn so fast, but as soon as you can get on that throttle and leaving it powered on until you get to the next turn, that is where I think I can gain. If you are at the start and you hear the pros take off, you know it's the pros just by the sound of their bikes. They're so aggressive, and that's definitely where I feel that I need to pick up some speed. I struggled here on the last part of the enduro just about every test. I'm not sure what it was. I had my lines picked out, but as I can tell just by how lazy I am on my throttle, I wasn't confident in my line choice. But as I'm coming in to finish the day, I ended up third for the day. After my first cross test I came in, I was second, but the gentleman that was running third after the first cross test, he was faster than I was on the enduro, and I couldn't make it up. As I come in, I look back to see where my competition came in. He was a few seconds back, so I knew I had third for the day. As you could see, there was something brewing, and it definitely, the good Lord watered the track for us overnight. As you can see, it was a little dusty. We got just about the perfect amount of rain for day 2. As I was saying at the beginning of the video, this is one of the most beautiful properties to ride a dirt bike, but there are many things to do throughout the weekend. As much fun as the family has watching their youth or their husband or wife, daughter, whatever it may be, out on the track, some of the best memories that they will keep throughout their years are off the track. There's nothing better than having a full day of racing and then being able to hang out with your friends and family and create those memories that will last a lifetime. And now it's Sunday, day 2. As I get ready to line up, we line up as we finish from the day before, and I line up third. So I feel a little more confident. I went out on the warm-up track and I did some testing. I got the bike where I think I should be a little faster on it, and I'm ready to hit the track and see how she feels. And as I almost went down in like turn 5, I realized I made a mistake. I slowed down the rebound 1 click, and that made a difference. Saturday I was having problems with the rear suspension being a little stiff, or I should say soft, because it was packing coming around the turns. But I was pretty okay with the forks. But I thought it was a little bouncy. I was going to slow it down, but I slowed down the rebound too much and it started pushing about every turn. So what I ended up doing at the end of this test, I went back and I sped the rebound back up a little bit and stiffened or slowed down the compression, and that definitely helped it for the rest of the weekend. But on this test, I was basically just going to have to deal with it until I could get back to the truck. The main goal was not to hit the ground. As I'm coming into this slick off camber section, I was going slow and still as bad as the bike was feeling, I couldn't believe that I was actually catching second place. He must have been having a worse day than I was, but the goal was not to get too excited and make that dumb mistake where I fall on the ground. As I come into this slick turn, I seen that he went down, and believe it or not, that's going to be a decision maker by the end of the day. As I'm coming in close to the finish, I'm being careful. This was one slick area coming through right before the finish, and of course everybody's watching. You definitely don't want to go down there. But believe it or not, as bad as this bike felt, this was my fastest test of the day. I went back, I made some adjustments, got the bike feeling a lot better. But even though the bike was feeling better, my times got slower. I'll come over and give Heidi an update on the track.
That kid is crazy, isn't he?
Did you just see it?
Yeah, I just saw it. I passed second, but he went down, so that's a good thing. But the front end of this thing is like, bah, 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 bah. I'm going to go do some adjustments. The back feels really good. The front don't feel so good. So.
Did you just see the red?
That's one of the good things about the US Sprint Enduro format. You're able to adjust the suspension throughout the day. And so I come back, grab my screwdriver, go out making adjustments. And then it's time to wait for your next test. This is one of the things that I struggle the most with this format, is I'm very impatient. Alright, so now I'm second for the day. I'm getting ready to go out and hit the enduro test. I believe this is the second enduro test of Sunday. You go out on each test 3 times. So you'll do 3 cross tests and 3 enduro. This is the second one. I was wanting to do this last one of the day so you see what the course looks like, but my video of course got screwed up, and this was the best video of the day. So I'm just going to sit back and let you enjoy and watch the line choice. I pretty much hit every line that I wanted to on this test.
Alright. About 135.
Man, doesn't this track make you want to grab a dirt bike and go out and rip up some dirt? I had an absolutely awesome time at this round 3 of the US Sprint Enduro. This was one of my favorite layouts for the year. I ended up on Saturday getting 3rd, and then on Sunday I was able to climb my way up to 2nd, thanks to the one little mess up that he made on the cross test, as you seen earlier on the cross test. Brian Johnson was first on both days. He's tearing it up out there on the track on the 48 group. I got 3rd on day 1, which was on Saturday, and then I got 2nd on day 2, which was Sunday, and ended up 3rd for the weekend. Jeremy was able to beat me on Saturday, but I was a few seconds ahead of him on Sunday. That's where, as I was saying, every second counts. He went down on one test, and I think I ended up ahead of him on day 2 just by maybe 3 or 4 seconds. Of course, I slowed down a little bit on the last test just to try to make sure I had like a 10, 15, 20 second lead or something on him for the Saturday or for the Sunday. But I knew as long as he didn't pass me, I had him covered. But I almost slowed down a little bit. He caught me right at the end of the last test, and I just barely beat him on Sunday's test by a few seconds. But that's what makes this exciting. You cannot see your competition. You don't know how good they're doing until you come in and look at your times. You could feel like you had an awesome test, you come back and it's one of your slowest. So making smart decisions, coming through these lines, going out and looking at your track before you hit it, every second counts. But that's the exciting part about this format. If you haven't seen our videos before, we are Trail Seeker Adventures. We bring our video camera out, which basically is a GoPro. We're on a budget. We bring the camera out. We film just about every event that we go to. That way you can check it out and see if it's something that you enjoy or would want to bring your bike out of the garage and come out and check out. This is the US Sprint Enduro. We've been to every round so far this year. We've been to Georgia GNCC. We've been to the new East Coast. It was a icy ice skating rink. I raced the 4-wheeler and the bike. I've been to Mountain State Hare Scramble. We've been, last year we was at some ride parks, whether it was Troom Motorcycle Park in Florida or the indoor motocross arena in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's called Switchback. Make sure you check us out. We bring our cameras out. That way you can check out whether it's something you want to bring your friends and family out, and that way you can see it before you can load up your bike. And as far as the pros go, Lane Michael won day 1, which was on Saturday, followed by Stu Baylor, and then Liam Draper was the top 3 on the pro. And on the pro 2, Johnny Gerard was on top of the box, followed by Jesse Ansley with his broken hand, and Cody Barnes was 3rd. On day 2, which was Sunday, Lane Michael was able to hold on first, followed by Stu Baylor, and then Liam Draper was 3rd on the box. But in the Pro 2, Johnny Gerard was still on top of the box, but Jesse Ansley was not able to hold on to 2nd, which he dropped down to 3rd, and Cody Barnes got 2nd. And that's the way they ended for the weekend as well. Thank you guys so much for watching our videos. We love bringing out the videos. That way you can see what we are out experiencing, and maybe you might have the desire to jump on that old dirt bike and come out and try it yourself. As we wrap up the day, thank you for watching, and make sure you check the rest of our videos.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap. Thank you, dear Lord. Keeping us safe.
Of course, Heidi comes in first on day 1 and comes in first on day 2. Needless to say, she's loving the 300X trainer. Make sure you subscribe to her channel, push the logo in the middle of the page.